Bears fall to 4-5 with a brutal 19-3 loss at home to the New England Patriots.
You're breaking up. I can't hear. What?
It's just unbelievable.
Hello? Are you there? Sparky. Razor, you still on the line, Razor? I can't hear you, Razor.
It's hard to believe that actually happened. And if you missed it, we'll play it in a moment. The Matt Eberflus interview on Cap and J Hood this morning, phone went out. It is the perfect encapsulation of this season, though, where just nothing can go right. Nothing.
Are you telling me off of a day where we saw probably the worst communication issues of all time? He had communication issues coming into his phone interview. It's priceless.
You almost can't make it up.
This is a movie.
It's so unbelievable. It feels made up.
Can't you just imagine him in a room? Just, you still there, Cappy? Crush it. Razor, Eagle. Can't hear you.
I doubt that the investment was that high level. I think they just hung up the phone and moved on with their day, which is fine. Like, that's what they should do. I'm going to just say it. I don't know how he's employed this morning. I don't. Any serious organization fires him. And frankly, they'd be doing him a favor.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have to sit through the media availability that we will carry at noon, where he's going to get an onslaught of questions about his job security, about the future of Shane Waldron, about what the hell's happening with Caleb Williams, who is, as of today, the single worst of the 4 first-round rookie quarterbacks that has started this season.
Yep.
And it's really not even close. They would honestly be doing him a favor letting him go. Dragging this out until the end of the season when we know you're going to move on in January, who does that help? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help Matt Eberflus. It doesn't help the morale in the locker room. It's not helping anybody.
You have nothing right now, honestly. And that's listen, I said this last week. He's got the resume, the best resume of any Chicago Bears coach I've ever seen to get fired. People have been fired here for less. We've watched Matt Eberflus single-handedly, and I am putting it on him because now he's willing to take accountability. We've watched him single-handedly lose 5 games, 4 of which he had a 90+% rating to be able to win. We have watched this team overall, and I will include him in this, but more so on Ryan Poles, draft another quarterback and say, it's not that important to really protect these guys. Just go out there and make sure you're quicker, because that's what fixes the offensive line. Listen, I wish I could say that I am surprised that we're here. The only thing that I'm surprised by today is the fact that you sent Caleb Williams out there to get crushed 3 more times.
Why would you be surprised by it? It's modus operandi. That's what they do. Starters battle to the end of the game. That's what he told us a week ago when they did it in Arizona, and then they do it again against New England. And, of course, they drop him back twice to get killed twice. Even Tom Thayer on our radio broadcast said, stop throwing the ball.
I don't understand it. I'll say this. For Ryan Poles to stand by this is a joke. For Ryan Poles to not have pulled the trigger is a joke. For you to stand by your head coach sending the quarterback out there to die is a joke. And just like when Matt Nagy sent Justin Fields out there and we called for his head for that moment, listen, Flus, it ain't been good enough. I'm sorry. I think he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. That's probably all he is. Sometimes that happens.
Are we sure he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator?
I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. I think that what we've seen has been some of the injuries that have been caused. You lose Jaquan Brisker, you lose Montez Sweat, didn't have Kyler Gordon last week. Those are big impact players in a game. I don't know what has happened to the run defense.
It's bad.
That has been surprising.
That's my point. The run defense is bad, and I get your down personnel, but that hadn't been a problem in the past. What a great mirage Matt Eberflus pulled in the first 6 weeks of this season. With the defense looking as good as it did, the offense, you scored 35 and 36 points in back-to-back weeks. You hit the bye week at 4-2. You're feeling good about yourself. You open as a favorite on the road against Washington. I mean, that Hail Mary, it just robbed the soul of everybody in this organization. That's what it feels like.
And that to me, that's the problem, right? I said this morning on the Morning Breeze. You didn't have culture. I think that's the part that we were fooled by. We thought there was a culture up there. If one play, that was a horrific play. destroyed your season, you didn't have culture. And especially coming off of the heels of watching that Lions-Texans game last night, you want to talk about culture, Shea. Jared Goff, worst game we've seen him play probably in 2 years, if we're being honest. Terrible quarterback yesterday. Found a way to get it done second half because the team was able to fall back on what they do well and was able to fall back on the culture that's in that building. Dan Campbell came out and said, listen, we're not going to get this lead back in one play. We got to go out there and just chip away at it the entire second half and get after it. Guess what the team did? They followed suit on the words that he said. Guess what the Bears have done? I guess in theory they followed suit on the word that he said. Hey, I've got, we know the score, and we're together.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't say anything. Just execute better. Run the play. Execute.
Time on task.
Right. That's it. You could, honest to God, have a head coach that is an artificial intelligence chatbot. It would be as effective as Matt Eberflus. I'm not kidding.
It probably could throw out defensive schemes.
I'm not kidding. You could hook up ChatGPT on the sideline and get it to talk to the team. It would have the exact same effect.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The idea that we've seen, and look, here's the deal about the culture at Hallis Hall. It sucks. Your culture is that you lose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Your culture is that you ruin quarterbacks.
Like, here's my issue, and it's why it does. We can talk about Eberflus, and he needs to be fired at the end of the year, mid-season, whatever you want to do. The longer this drags, the more it becomes a Ryan Poles issue. And that's where we're getting. And the longer that drags, the more it becomes a Kevin Warren issue. Because who are we to say that hands aren't tied? And the longer that goes on, the more it becomes an ownership issue that you just refuse to make these changes. It goes to the top of the organization, and it goes back to last offseason. You decided you weren't going to move on from Matt Eberflus. And at the time, I thought the decision was fine. It's clear now it's a mistake. But what really is the egregious part is, and we've heard, Kaplan has said it, they were never even going to talk to Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Whether or not you like the man has nothing to do with whether or not you should speak to him in regards to coaching your football team. To not speak to him is egregious. To completely write him off as even an option. To never seriously address it as a candidacy. Egregious.
Yeah.
It's totally indefensible. And the way that he has the Chargers looking, I don't have to like watching it. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's gross. They shorten games. They run the football. It's 1970. They also win.
Yeah.
And Jim Harbaugh is a culture of winning, period. End of story. I don't have to like the man. I don't. I'm a Michigan State fan. Yeah. I don't have to like Jim Harbaugh, and I don't. But he wins, and there's no way around it. And whether you say he cheats or anything else, he wins. And to not talk to him? What are you, insane? Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely, Pat, I want you to answer this question. I want people to answer 312-332-3776. Who does this team think they are? That you don't have to talk to Jim Harbaugh last offseason.
They think they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I keep saying this. They wear this "we don't fire coaches in season" like a badge of honor. They think they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. They think that they are the New England Patriots. They think that they are a real organization. They think that they're not a mom and pop shop that's still trying to run the show like it's 1985 and you got Walter Payton standing back there. I'll tell you what, there's no Walter Payton on this team because he wouldn't stand for what's happening out there. They think that they are the charter franchise of the NFL. Good job. George was first. That's the best you got. That's all you got. George Halas started it. How long are we holding on to that? When do we want to start winning in this era? When do we want to start doing things like teams in this era? Because the conversation on Jim Harbaugh, listen, if you want to come into the season with Matt Eberflus, fine, make the decision. You did that. If you want to come into the season with Caleb Williams, fine, make the decision. But how about using some common sense? How about going out there and saying, hey, you know what we just did over the last 3 years? We had this quarterback that maybe had some talent, maybe didn't. I don't know how we feel about that, but we really never did anything to try and put anything in front of this kid to keep him upright, even though offensive line's a position that I played and it's probably the most important. With this new kid, how about we just run that back? How about our answer is cut offensive lineman Coleman Shelton, who gets thrown around like Spider-Man in the first movie?
Love the brother next to you.
How about we go out and we trade a 5th-round pick and actually try to make our starting center a backup right guard? How about we do nothing?
Right?
How about we do nothing? How about we run exactly the same thing back that we did last year and see if we get a different result? How about that? Let's see how that works. Because you know what? He's going to get the football out so fast, it's not going to matter. That's all I heard.
I didn't see much of that yesterday. How about holding on to the football for 6 seconds? Look, man, if we're going to take shots at Matt Eberflus, and we're going to take shots at Shea, and we're going to take shots at Ryan Poles, and we're going to take shots at Kevin Warren, we're going to take shots at Caleb Williams. It's week 11 now. It's time. Got to look better than this.
How? Tell me how. We watched it. We did this last year, Shea. How?
No, this isn't the same. This is different.
It is a quarterback getting his head beat in every play, and you expect him to figure out how to play the position at an NFL level. How? This is what everyone told me last season. Justin, he should be able to figure it out. It's year 3. He's been getting his head beat in for 3 years. It's year 3 of that.
Pat, you know this is different. This is a coaching issue to me because you have a quarterback who has had the balls coached off of him.
Shea.
Hold on. Let me finish the point. They have neutered Caleb Williams. Earlier in the year against the Colts, at least I saw him ripping the football. Sure, he threw an interception. At least he threw it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, what did he do? He didn't do anything. He dropped back, got to the top of his drop, sat there, waited until he got sacked, or threw the ball where absolutely nobody could catch it. This whole garbage about hits principle, take care of the football, take care of the football, take care of the football. What you've done is you've taken any ability for the quarterback to take a risk completely away from him. He will not run with the football when there's nobody open. He will not rip a contested throw. He just stands there and waits to get hit. That's coaching. The offensive line offered him plenty of protection yesterday to either make a decision to run with the ball or make a contested throw. He won't do it because I imagine he's getting his head taken off in practice if he throws an interception. Enough. I'd rather him out there throwing picks than just getting absolutely annihilated behind an offensive line that when they do protect, nobody's open, and when they don't protect, he's dead. It makes no sense.
The problem is, though,
he has to be better.
You got to look at the tape, though, Shea. The receivers and the quarterback are not married. That's your problem right now offensively. This offense is broken. Your receivers are not getting to the spots in their route when it's time for Caleb Williams to rip it. He's dropping back. He's going through his progression.
I'm not
He's trying to
that.
find. But here's the thing. I'm trying to find the guys down the field. I'm keeping my eyes down the field. I'm trying to extend the play so that my wide receivers can get open. And now it's my fault.
But he's not trying to extend the play. Yesterday, he's not even leaving the pocket. He's doing nothing that could be problematic. The one play he does leave the pocket, the right side of his offensive line decides they're going to block air, and he's dead. He's doing nothing. Yesterday, he's literally chained in the pocket, just taking sacks. I'd rather you throw a pick. I'd rather you rip the football and take a chance. Throw a contested pass. Throw a tight window pass. He's doing nothing.
And I'm not saying rip him for throwing a pick than rip him for standing in the pocket and trying to get a play off.
He's not trying to. He's getting sacked. When he's standing in the pocket and it ends with 3 D linemen on top of him, and then I got to watch him get helped up by a Patriots defensive lineman while patting him on the effing head. Dude, I'm good. Yeah. Throw the ball.
I mean, here's the thing.
I'm not arguing.
The flip side.
I'm not arguing that the offensive line isn't bad. I'm not arguing that Shane Waldron isn't bad. I'm not arguing that the receivers aren't getting open. Everything can be bad, including the quarterback. This is the same thing we talked about last year. Fields last year was bad. Caleb this year, bad. Both things are true.
But how do you develop it? That's the conversation you got to have. How do you develop it? What is that doing? What is changing? What is going to Thomas Brown do?
I don't know, but it can't be worse.
There's no one up front.
You're going to let that isn't the issue yesterday. Throw the effing ball. What are we talking about?
This is the same conversation we continue to have every single year.
Oh, my God.
Every time we have a quarterback.
It's driving me nuts.
Every time we have a quarterback. And you want to know what's going to happen? He's 38 sacks into his NFL career.
Yes.
He's 38 sacks into his NFL career.
They are not all on the O-line. They're not.
All right, how many are we saying aren't on the O-line?
Yesterday, I counted 5 at least that were on Caleb.
They're all on Caleb. 5 of those sacks yesterday are on Caleb.
If you're holding the ball more than 4 or 5 seconds, it's on you, man. Run. One of your skills is running. They don't let him do it. Whether it's a coaching issue that has made him be this way or just him, it's not good enough. And we can't just sit here and go, it's all on the O-line. When you've got a clean pocket for that long, what are we doing?
If there's no receiver open to throw it to, what do? Just F it. Interception. That's what you want to do.
Run. He's supposed to be able to run.
This is not what we wanted last year, though.
But I don't understand how we can't blame him at all.
It's not about you can't blame him. Has he made bad throws? Yes. I think the throw to DJ Moore, that's completed. I'm not even off on Shane Waldron in the first half. I think there were some play calls that should work. I've been more in on Shane Waldron than out, even though I still think he's mediocre. I think he's inconsistent. But at the same time, you're sitting here telling me you're supposed to learn. You're supposed to figure it out. You're supposed to understand how to stay in the pocket and when to vacate the pocket while getting punched in the head on a consistent basis every single time I try to do something. Every time I try to build some consistency, when I finally get comfortable, I got Matt Pryor on the left side running to who knows where because it's another false start because he got nervous because he doesn't know where he's supposed to be. There is nothing you can do for this young man right now.
Answer me this question.
Going to improve the situation.
Answer me this question. I've watched every snap the Patriots have taken. Their offensive line, garbage.
Horrible.
Their offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, horrible. More of an idiot than a good, smart coordinator. How's it working for Drake May?
How's what working for Drake May?
He's developing. What's the problem?
He had a good game yesterday versus a team that gave up.
He's had more good games than Caleb has all year. Drake May's developing with receivers who are better off as dead people. Don't tell me about the Mario Douglas or drop machine Jalen Polk or can't get on the field Javon Baker or Kendrick Bourne, who's not even playing anymore. Don't tell me about Drake May's receivers. Don't tell me about Drake May's O-line, which
it's horrible.
Sucks.
It's horrible.
And don't tell me about his OC, who's a complete disaster. Why is he developing?
It's a good question. I'll give you that one. It's a good question.
Go figure. Maybe it's the quarterback. Let's have a real conversation about it. If we want to do it, look, it's a Bears Monday. I want to get to the phones. 312-332-3776. If you want to have the blame game convo, we can do it. You've got options. Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, Caleb Williams. Everybody's up for grabs. Who do you blame?
To the 25, great block by Sanborn, 35-40, to the 45 to midfield, and into New England territory before he's finally put down there. Heck of a block, Jack Sanborn, tackle Curtis Jacobs, 49-yard punt, brought back 39 yards. Now the Bears are in business in plus territory to start their first drive of the game.
Jeff Joniak, Tom Thayer on the call on Sunday. Shea Norling, Pat the designer, in for Greeny this morning. You know what plus territory means for the Bears yesterday? Punt.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that there was a impactful drive happening. That's for sure. We're not going to be punting much, though, Shea. But let's draft one.
Boy, I tell you what.
Let's draft one.
What a tactical error by Caleb Williams to go on First Take and talk about having 3,000-yard receivers preseason and to talk about telling Tory Taylor not going to be punting much. Oops.
It's a fun recall every time. It is one thing I think about every single time Tory Taylor comes out and punts after a bad drive.
So Kevin Fishbane aggregated this on Twitter from Mike Zando. Mike Zando's pick six, the piece in The Athletic. The Bears led it. And there's something in it that I think is fascinating in terms to how they will approach head coach going forward. One exec to Mike Zando, quote, their offense is so bad. Yeah, not exactly spilling state secrets. Another executive, quote, the GM won't want to fire the coach unless the president is on board with that, and the president is not going to turn the reins over to a proven coach. Huh? More, quote, Execs around the league think a Bears structure featuring an empowered, engaged team president and Kevin Warren all but rules out the possibility Chicago would seek established power coaches. So you can kiss your dream of Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel goodbye. The one name we can kind of say is not included in established power head coaches, Ben Johnson, who once again becomes a realistic hunting name. Not saying he'd take the job. Cap has said there's no interest left.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he'd take the gig, but not an established power coach. Does that concern you at all that Mike Sando is talking to executives who think that Kevin Warren will not turn the reins over to a power head coach?
It concerns me because it means the Chicago Bears are scared of success. It concerns me because it means the Chicago Bears are scared of somebody coming in and already having a backbone that could stand up to you and say, hey, maybe don't draft a punter in the 4th round. We got nobody to keep this kid alive. It concerns me because it's who the Bears are. And if that is true, that means that nothing's changed. That means, yeah, you got a new quarterback. Good job. You got wide receivers in there. Good job. You got a good defense. We always have a good defense. Good job. You're the same organization you've always been. If that's the case, then Kevin Warren is Ted Phillips. Ryan Poles is Ryan Pace. Matt Eberflus is Matt Nagy.
Did you guys ever see the interview when Cliff Kingsbury was asked about his interview in Chicago and he said he'd rather not talk about it?
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
My guess, based off of the things that we're hearing, is the Bears don't like personalities. It's like Hoodie was saying this morning, Ditka rubbed people the wrong way because Ditka was bigger than the Bears. Kevin Warren saying they don't want an established power coach, to me, is just Kevin Warren saying we don't want a name that's bigger than the organization. But I got news. This brand is beyond tainted.
Yeah.
Your culture is not that the Bears organization shines through all and we can't have big personalities because God forbid somebody outshines the brand. Dude, I would kill for somebody to outshine this brand.
Yeah.
This brand stinks. This brand is losing. We talked about it last week. They haven't won a playoff game, Pat, in 14 years. 14 years.
Yeah.
You haven't been to a Super Bowl in 18. You haven't won one in 39. And it's been 4 decades without a Super Bowl victory. And we're talking about being worried about big personalities and proven, established coaches you have to give the reins to? Huh?
And think about the last time they went. You had Lovie Smith, who, great coach, I think great head coach, not the most outspoken guy, not the guy who's probably the biggest personality in that room, no matter what. It's concerning to me. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. That hearing that is a gut punch as a Bears fan.
It's more of the same. Because time is a flat circle. It's all of it.
It's not even that means that there's a belief that if somebody were to come in there and tell you, no, this is more important than what you think is important right now, that you can't handle it. That means that Ryan Poles can't handle it. That means that Kevin Warren can't handle it. Hey, I get you got that going on, but we need to focus on this. You can't handle that. And as much as you sit there and talk about we're okay with the pushback, we're okay with having a room that has differences in opinions, are you? Because there's a lot of football people out there who look at the Chicago Bears right now and go, you have no idea what you're doing, especially from a coaching perspective. And you don't want a coach to come in and go, hey, maybe we don't know what we're doing here. We probably need to do it a different way. When I was over here, this worked. Well, what does that mean? I've been to the playoffs more recent than you have. Bill Belichick's been in the playoffs more recent than the Bears. Mike Vrabel's been in the playoffs more recent than the Bears. Heck, I got a national champion sitting over there winning games in it's not San Diego anymore, L.A., with the Chargers because you didn't want a big personality that was going to rock the boat. We know what that was.
Didn't even talk to him.
We know what that was. I like that we like to tiptoe around like we don't know what that was. That's Kevin Warren not liking Jim Harbaugh from the Big Ten. That's what it is.
And
let's call it for what it is.
It's also
Jim
an
Harbaugh rocks the boat. Kevin Warren was the president.
It's also an understanding that you're bringing the hero home.
Yes.
And he would be bigger than the team. He would be the lead character. He'd be like, look, man, do you think this team would ever hire Dan Campbell? Dan Campbell is more the face of the Lions than any player. I don't care what you think about Aiden Hutchinson or Jared Goff. It's Dan Campbell. You think this team would do that? No shot. No chance that they take a swing on a personality like that. You know what's sad is it might actually work.
Yeah.
But they'd rather be agreeable and everybody be quiet and play the company line and all that stuff than actually be good. That's clear now.
Here's the thing. Nobody wants to come to work with somebody you don't like, right? I get that. You want people in the building that you do get along with. I understand that. But most championship situations have some kind of friction.
Right.
Most championships, look at the Warriors. How many times did we hear about the Warriors front office not agreeing with Steve Kerr's want to bring his players back? What did Steve Kerr do? They fought about it. They brought the players back. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, we won another championship. How'd we do that?
Hey, big surprise, too, in like all the documentaries that are coming out. Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, not big fans of one another.
Hey, how about we just go down the street? How about we look at the West Side? How much friction was in that? Who watched The Last Dance? How much friction was in that relationship on the way to 6 of them? You know what it tells me? All the Super Bowl talk, all the championship talk is bull. It's bull. Because if you want to win a championship, if you want to do whatever it's going to take to get to a championship, it might be a rocky situation. I'm not telling you got to go out to dinner with the guy every night. But for you to not go out, let's be real about this. As far as leaders of men, everyone on the market right now is better than Flus.
100%.
Every single head coach on the market right now is better than what you have coaching your team in the building. Your players are literally going on the radio going, I wouldn't have gone with that call.
It's incredible that we could have gotten Cliff Kingsbury here and didn't because reasons. Doesn't want to talk about his interview.
That one I'm not as out on. That one I'm not as, because here's the thing. Cliff Kingsbury's offense is working because you had an organization that prioritized the offensive line. Clearly that wouldn't have happened here. I don't know how different things are if we're doing what the Commanders are doing with the 5 guys
yeah, but
we've
it's
got
really
here.
It's all of it. It's you hired Waldron instead of Kingsbury. I think look, Kingsbury has called better offenses. I'm not asking him to be a head coach. I'm asking him to be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It's Ryan Poles didn't address the offensive line by signing Tyler Biadasz, who ended up where? Washington.
Dominate.
It's all of it. You've got Caleb and the guy he worked with in the whatever camp, the quarterback, whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah.
The QB collective.
QB collective, yeah.
Great. He looks terrible. He can't be kept upright because the offensive line stinks. When he is upright, he can't make a decision because I think all of the confidence has been totally coached out of him. And this coaching staff and their stress on taking care of the football, it's neutered him. Look, man, I'm really happy that everybody has a great culture up at Hallis Hall. You just lost to the Patriots 19-3 at home.
Yeah.
I'm really glad your culture's great. And Kevin Warren, the thing that stands out to me most in that Mike Sando athletic piece, an empowered owner or president, an empowered president, what's he done? There's not a shovel in the ground. Am I mistaken? There's no shovel in the ground.
We still don't have parking.
There's no change with the coaching staff. You're now proving to me, because Eberflus is still employed this morning, that you're not going to fire a head coach in season. So that remains unchanged. Yeah. What's changed? Who's empowered? I don't. It boggles the mind.
And here's my thing: if you're going to do that, right? Tell me, Flus doesn't have a case for you've set the quarterback you gave me up to fail to Ryan Poles. Tell me, Flus doesn't have a case for you've put our offense in a position where it's in a tough spot to work. You're going to move on from me, but I'm looking at you going, hey, buddy, this guy's dead. What do you want me to call? What play do you want me to run? Set hut, there he goes. Like, if you're going to have that structure, you better dang well make sure that I can look at every position on this field and go, nah, that's on you, bud. Nah, you didn't coach that right. Because I know he's talented. I know he can make plays.
It has to fall at somebody's feet. And again, like we talked about in the first hour, if you missed it, everything's available on the ESPN Chicago app podcasts. I don't think the Patriots are anything special. I think their roster is significantly worse than the Bears roster. Their wide receivers suck. Their offensive line sucks. Their offensive coordinator sucks. So why does Drake May look better than Caleb? I got to figure that out. I don't think Gerard Mayo's great shakes as a head coach. I don't think the OC, Alex Van Pelt, is any good at all. So why does Drake May look better?
I think the thing with
What is it with this team?
I think the thing with Drake May is, though, like we got to see it yesterday. He did look way better yesterday. We got to see it yesterday, and when you see it one-on-one, it looks bad. I think that Caleb has had higher highs than Drake May has had this season. I think his lows have just been very low. I think his lows have been what we saw last season, and that's what gets us more furious about it. But when I think about the 3 games, I mean, he's the only rookie quarterback ever to have multiple 300-yard passing games. I mean, what do you have? 5 touchdowns through the 3 games with when the 3-game win streak. Like,
I think it was him and Dan Marino were the only 2 guys ever to have those numbers through the first 2 games.
I think the highs have been high. I think we've seen a step back in Caleb's game for sure. I think there's been some regression this last 3 weeks, and if you don't see that, I don't know what you're looking at, right? But I don't know if I would say that Daniel Jones is on this skyward trajectory. I do think I can say the same thing. I'm sorry, I said Daniel Jones. Drake May. I do think I can say the same thing about Drake May, though. I left yesterday's game going, how good would this kid be if they protected him and had some wide receivers for him to throw
incredible.
To? Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I just feel like you're seeing more out of a kid who did sit, and it makes people question, not unfairly. I don't agree with it, but it makes people question if Caleb was ready to go at the start of the season and if it would have been better to go with someone else or a veteran QB. When you see May sat for a little bit behind Brissett and comes in and looks the way that he looks.
Yeah.
And it is Drake May and Dan Marino are the only 2 rookie quarterbacks in NFL history to have 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in their first 2 games.
Yeah. I think he's definitely developing.
We're not doing Drake May radio. I just don't want to do the deal where did we take the wrong guy again?
I see, and that's my thing. That's my point in all of this today is we can sit there and say we took the wrong guy. We can say we took the wrong guy with Justin Fields. We can say we took the wrong guy in Mitch Trubisky. Did we put the guy in a good position?
No. And
that's the problem.
Justin Fields failed. Whether it was Justin Fields' fault or not is a totally different convo.
But that's the convo we're having about Caleb Williams right now.
And
is it Caleb Williams' fault that he's failing?
But nobody will care if it was his fault or not. The reality will be you will move on. Don't want that. We can all agree that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah. You're running it back. And if you're moving on from Caleb Williams, you've got a new GM. You've got a new head coach. Yeah. You've got a new quarterback. You've got a new offense. You're starting it all over from the ground up. Get ready for 3 more years, Bears fans.
For me, the bottom line, I don't care whose fault it is that somebody didn't work. I care that it didn't work. And I don't want to be there with this team.
Yeah.
And that's where, look, if it's going to be Caleb's fault, then it is going to be Caleb's fault. And he's just not the right guy and he's not good enough. I'm not ready to have that conversation. I want him to develop better, and that's why I think the coaching staff needs to change.
Yeah.
And you got to nip this in the bud before you just turn him into a bad habit guy, and we have more of the same here.
Would you rather have the coaching staff change first or the O-line fixed first? If you only can do one.
Give me the offensive line.
Yeah, O-line.
Offensive line. Because I think we look at the game yesterday. You look at these moments where it's like, if I got 5 guys that know their job and aren't jumping off sides, we might have a drive. If Caleb Williams has time, he might throw the football to the right spot.
But at the same time, how do I know that you're just going to have receivers running covered still, and Caleb's going to have 6 seconds in a clean pocket, but nobody can guard that long. I mean, yesterday there were even moments where he had that, and he still took sacks. 2 of the sacks he took, the first 2 sacks of the game,
are on him.
100% on him,
100%, yeah.
and they were awful.
Yeah.
Awful sacks.
I agree.
Where he's generating his own 3rd and longs, and he's putting himself in his own bad situations. Can't happen.
Yeah, I agree.
That has to get better. So as much as it's like I want the offensive line to be improved, I don't know that it's going to make a difference with this coaching staff.
I think that no matter what, though, here's the thing, though. We see it around the league. Is Sam Darnold still doing stuff to screw up? Yeah. He's still throwing passes that we're like, I don't know about that one. You might want to get that back. He's still taking sacks that we're like, a better quarterback probably doesn't take that sack. we still can look at him and go, he's clearly better with an offensive line. And I think Caleb Williams' talent is above Sam Darnold.
It's also like Joe Burrow is putting up MVP numbers, and he's never had protection, ever.
Yeah.
So it's not all the line. A lot of it is the quarterback.
I think that it all goes hand in hand. But the thing is, why it seems like only in Chicago are we adverse to making our quarterback's life easier.
No, that's for sure true.
It seems like only in Chicago do we go, hey, you know, that like my favorite thing that I've heard out of all of this.
I find it hilarious.
You think
how
we
hard
got too many weapons? You think we have too many weapons out there? You think there's only one football?